Well, hi. Today is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. I'm Todd Studer, and this is Morning Coffee. Yeah, still under the weather. Let's see, I came down with this on Saturday. We're now at Tuesday, so that we're into day 3. And the way this is feeling, I think it's going to be a little while yet. I talked with some other people, and they had said either they themselves or someone they know had experienced this too, and it's like a bad cold. It's not the flu. I haven't had a fever or anything, which I'm thankful for. However, it's more annoying than anything else. It just kind of hangs around. And yesterday on the show, my voice was kind of raspy today, but it seems to be in a lower range. So if you see a bunch of edits in this video and on this podcast, that's because I had to stop and sneeze, or I had to blow my nose or something like that. All kinds of information for you. I should be sharing this with my doctor, right? Say, I wanted to remind you that time is running out. You need to get it done this week if you want to sign up for that web development class through the AIM Institute. We put the link in the description of this show. So it's an Eventbrite link. Just click on that and you can get signed up completely free. This is a long form class. This is not just a workshop. It's going to last for 12 weeks, 2 nights a week. It's going to be online, so you don't have to go to a classroom. However, you do need a computer that at the most is 3 years old. You're going to need that in order to be able to do this. So, but what a great opportunity to learn about web development and maybe even find a new career. So, click on that link and get signed up. Also, while you're on the internet, head over to prairieandpinerealestategroup.com. That is Mackenzie Shelton and her team with Prairie and Pine Real Estate. That is a Keller Williams Greater Omaha. She's with offices in Council Bluffs, Omaha, and Lincoln. They have a really good understanding of everything that's going on here. And be sure to follow Prairie and Pine online on their social media as well. You're going to pick up a lot of new information there. And Foxco Fabrication, proud sponsor of everything we do here at Morning Coffee. I talk with Rick frequently, and as a matter of fact, had dinner with Rick and his wife, and we went to Mofish in Council Bluffs. Are you familiar? I had never been there. They've been in town for a long time, and I had never been there. And wow, that was really, really good. So if just a free plug for Mofish, and also a plug for a Foxco Fabrication, because if you need any metal work done, as Rick likes to say, if it's metal, we mess with it. Only he might use a different word. So from welding to sign fabrication, maybe you need a new flatbed put on your truck. They can do it all. Go to foxcofab.com. I have spoken recently with many people after the first of the year that are looking at getting into podcasting, wanting a podcast for themselves, for their business, and different things that they can do with that. And what I tell all of them is step number 1 is we have a free podcast planner on the website at loshillsmedia.com. Go there, click on it, and download that free planner. And it's going to walk you through a lot of process on what to do with this. I have partnered with Sue Pitts from Just Sue Creative in order to make this podcast planner. So you're going to see a message from Sue there, and it's all put together to help you get a good understanding. So when it's time for you to launch your podcast, you can have everything that you need ready to go. And I thought I'd walk through some of the different things here to give you a little bit of a better understanding about the why behind your podcast. And that's really the first step, is why do you want to start a podcast? What is it that you are wanting this podcast to do? Are you wanting to build authority with it? Are you maybe wanting to promote your business? Maybe it's just educate your audience, share your expertise, even generate income. That is a possibility too, but put down your why. That's going to be the first thing that you're going to want to do when it comes to starting a podcast. And then after that, you are going to want to answer the question, what inspires you? What is your motivation behind this? Are you looking at sharing knowledge, telling stories, connecting with your audience? What is your inspiration behind this? The next question, you'll want to know what kind of format you want your podcast to have. Is it going to be a back and forth with an interview? Is it just going to be you talking like I am here? Or is it going to be more dynamic storytelling? You know, I listened to one podcast, had sound effects. It was almost like listening to a movie that I mean, he had effects from the beach and everything else. It was really fascinating what he'd done, and it was entertaining to listen to. It could be a hybrid. It can be anything that you want it to be. So that's the cool thing about this is you're not limited by anything. How about tone? What kind of tone is it going to be? More formal or casual? Do you want it to be entertaining? You want it to be informative? Conversational or structured? My recommendation is to make it as conversational as possible, because you are wanting people to feel like they're sitting in on a conversation. So it could be such as me talking to you right now, where it's just us, or when I have a guest, then we are just having a conversation. I've told many people that come on the show, I don't prepare questions. I don't pre-prepare questions, because I want it to stay conversational. But it may be that you need to have questions prepared because you don't have as much experience in an interview setting. So again, there's no rules with this. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. There's an exercise attached to it entitled Research and Inspiration. And what is that? Listen to podcasts. Listen to some that are maybe in the same field of what it is that you are wanting to do. See how those are structured. And I'm not saying copy someone else, but what I am saying is that you can listen to someone else's podcast and incorporate what works for you, put yourself in the position of the host, and then you can make it your own, and you can make it your style from there. Back when I was sportscasting, and I've told this story before, that when I first got started, I didn't really have my own style. So I was copying a lot of people. I stole some things from Dick Enberg. I stole things from Gary Thorne. These are well-known sportscasters. But eventually I found my own voice. And it's the same thing when it comes to podcasting. Just get started, but listen to some other ones and see what it is that you like and what resonates with you. And but that part is really important. If you're wanting to do a podcast, but you haven't really listened to any, that's kind of like a writer who doesn't read. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You're also going to want to define your focus. So what expertise or knowledge can you share that will truly benefit your audience? So what is it that you personally are bringing? And believe me, everybody has a story to tell. And especially if you have a business or a nonprofit, and that is going to be where it's at. So example is, what questions do your clients frequently ask? So that's just a quick Q&A type of thing that you are answering questions. And it's a way to get some podcasts underneath your belt by just using that format. How about stories from your experience or industry would interest your audience? Here's the thing too, is that if it was interesting to you, chances are it's going to be interesting to someone else. Some examples are maybe customer success stories, maybe some unique insights that you have into your industry. Then you want to identify your pain points or challenges that your podcast can address for your listeners. So again, this can go back to the question, because if someone is asking you a question regarding your business or organization, chances are that is a pain point for them. So that's a good one to be able to put down on there. Let's see, what else do we have? More exercises. So you can identify your content pillars. So there's going to be different things for you to fill out here, and it's important that you get things down on paper and get them out of your head, because at that point you can see things a lot easier when it's not just rattling around up in here. So there'll be different pillars for you to fill out on this workshop or worksheet. Again, the free podcast planner that you can find at loshillsmedia.com. Also, what topics or themes are you going to be covering? And use your content pillars that'll guide you through that. And again, the more things you get written down initially, the easier it's going to be. But don't think that you have to have everything written down and you have to have topics all ready to go for the next year. Don't worry about that. It's going to come. If you're doing an interview format, who are your ideal guests? Well, I can help you with that. It's going to be people in your industry or that you deal with already in your industry that can add a new layer that maybe you personally aren't bringing, but someone else is. As an example, if you are in real estate and you are wanting to do a real estate focused podcast, well, then you can have other You can have other agents from other markets. You can have people that you work with, such as maybe it's an estimator, maybe it's a home loan officer, could be even the termite inspector. All of these different people that you are already working with that can provide insight into what they do that'll be part of the process when someone is selling their home. You want to come up with about 10 of an idea. And at any point, if you want some help with this, feel free to send me an email and we'll get connected. And I'd be happy to help you explore some of these things. And that's what it comes in with brainstorming episode ideas. So get other people involved. And again, I would be happy to help you with that. It's what I do. And obviously, the initial conversations that we have, I don't charge for those. They're completely free. And we can go over some things, and I can answer some questions for you about what it is that you may want to do. You're going to have a branding and messaging section. So this is coming up with a memorable and relevant title. And you can use AI to be able to help you with this. ChatGPT is it's a good tool, and it's not cheating. And because a lot of times, if I'm using ChatGPT, I'm using it just to get unstuck. I never use anything just word for word because as it's written, it really doesn't have a whole lot of heart to it, but it does get it to where it's, again, gets me unstuck if I'm just having writer's block for some reason. You're going to want a tagline, which is a short description of your podcast purpose and value. All of these things are going to go into the description of your podcast. And then more of a summary. This is going to be the hook that people looking for a podcast about the topic that you're talking about can find you. That's where you can go to existing podcast platforms and take a look at what's out there. Search what's out there and see whether or not you can find a unique name that way. And then you're going to want to structure your episodes. So it's kind of a roadmap taking you through. I tell everybody that comes on as a client of Les Hills Media and Podcast to not think of it as you're trying to hit a home run every single time you step up to the plate with each episode. You're building a library. And the more on topic that you can stay with each episode, the better it's going to be for the listener, because you're going to have people go back and find episodes, 3, 6, 12 months after you recorded it. And that's how audiences grow. So you're not going to start off with a huge audience with a podcast. It isn't going to happen. Very, very rarely. And you hear about every once in a while, somebody starts one and it launches big. But that is the exception, not the rule. So it's like hitting the lottery. You just can't plan on that. And so again, then you talk about the main content is going to be the interview, the monologue or storytelling. What I'm doing right now, explaining about the way this works with this worksheet that we have on our website, that is the substance of the podcast. That's going to be the body of what it is that I'm doing. So this is just, one example, but your podcast would be different. You can insert breaks into this. Mine are kind of built in as I do them all together. If you want to have breaks ready to go because you may get sponsors for it, you can add some music to it. Be sure that you are following all copyright laws. You don't want to mess around with that problem. But there are services that you can use online that handle that. So you can get a subscription to a music service, and then you don't have anything to worry about where the copyrights are. And then you're going to want to have a conclusion, summarize the episode. Sometimes you might want to tease the next one. Something that I heard on a podcast once, and I don't do it with myself when I have guests, but I thought it was a great idea, is that he would have the guest that he has ask a question of the next guest, but he wouldn't tell them who the guest was, and he wouldn't say what the question was until that next podcast. And then he would ask that question during his next episode. And I thought it was a wonderful way to tie everything in together from one down to the next. And plus, it's a great way to combine audiences, because if you have followers for one guest, it's going to make those followers want to come along for the next episode because they want to hear what the question was. So that I thought was genius. But something that you could incorporate. These are so many different ideas that are out there. That's why you need to listen to other podcasts. So again, go to leshillsmedia.com. There's a lot more to this workbook, and you can go through and fill everything out. Get a hold of me. Get a hold of Sue if you want some help with the how to schedule all of the guests and also how to market your podcast. Sue Pitts would be great to be able to help you with that. So there is a lot of help out there when it comes to building these things. Les Hills Media and Podcast is one of several companies that are in town. Personally, I think that the pool is so deep, I don't really look at the other ones as competition. I look at collaboration. I'm happy that I'm seeing this industry grow. And if it just stays me, that means the industry is not growing. When I first started doing podcasts about 4 or 5 years ago, actually now, I'm trying to remember how long ago it was that we started doing something for the Council Bluffs Area Chamber of Commerce. We had just an audio podcast called Chamber Chat for a while through them. And I think it goes back 4 or 5 years, and that's when I got started. There wasn't anybody else doing it back then. Now there are, because it's a growing industry, and it's going to continue to grow. And there's going to be more companies, and there'll be more opportunities for you to choose who you want to work with if it's something that you don't want to produce yourself. It's why I have a job, because I'm good at it. And I know how to structure these, and I know how to make you sound just as good as I possibly can. There's something else that I've told every guest that's ever come into my studio, and I'll share that with you just in case you ever decide that you want to be on a podcast. And especially with me, I tell them I'm not 60 Minutes. I'm not here to do some hard-hitting interview. I said my job is to make you sound and look as good as I possibly can, and that's what my job is here. And you'd be surprised after you sit down and get over the intimidation factor of one of these things. I get it. I've talked into a microphone for 3 decades, so it doesn't bother me. These do bother some people, and I understand that it's kind of a phobia that you have to overcome, but you can overcome it. I used to be petrified of public speaking. I mean, truly, it really made me nervous. And then, of course, I went into radio. Why not? It's probably why I didn't get started until I was about 25. Somebody else that's really, really good at marketing is Sprout Marketing Solutions, and Kelsey and her team. Actually, I saw that she's going to be doing a workshop herself. So if you're not following Sprout Marketing Solutions on social media, you should do that. And I know that you can find all of those links on our website, sproutmarketingsolutions.com. She'd love to be able to have you along with that. And Carol Horner is the author of the book Spiral of Accountability, which can help your team at work communicate with each other better. Sometimes, teams, they get roadblocks that are in the way, and they have difficulty figuring out how to best communicate with each other. That's why Carol has this formula, Spiral of Accountability, and you can get a copy of her book at her website, spiralofaccountability.com. Learn more about Carol and invite her to come in and talk with your team. I think that you'll be really happy you did. Well, that is going to wrap things up for this Tuesday. Thank you so much. Of course, if you have any questions at all about podcasting, I would love to be able to talk to you about that. Set up an appointment. Just give me a call or send me an email, toddstuder@gmail.com, and I can get an appointment ready with you, and we can sit down and talk. And probably we'll just do it online, so no need to go out and brave the cold right now or get near me because I'm sick. I can't pass on what I have over the internet, so that's a safe way to be able to do it. But and if you are one of the folks that are down with whatever this crud is that's going around, know that my heart goes out to you. That's wrapping things up on this Tuesday. Thank you so much. My name is Todd Studer. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.